Hi class, welcome to our last and final live meeting. Hopefully you guys ready for your test and your final. So make sure you remember that your exam 3 is due on Sunday night. Your final is also due on Sunday night. So if you haven't finished yet, you're gonna have a very busy couple days from now on. Also remember, once you finish everything, your final grade will be posted by Monday morning. So what I'll be doing, so Sunday night, once you guys finish your final, I'll be updating your grade into Eagle 2 and also emailing you guys individually, let you know what your final grade is. So by Monday morning, hopefully before 10 o'clock, you can go online, check your grades, see what your final grade is. And if you have any question regarding the final grade, let me know. Now, let's talk about your third test. So third test covered chapters 13, 14, 15, 16, and 17. So it'll be only 5 chapters. And then for these 5 chapters, the most important concept you got to remember is the 4 basic market structures. So we have the perfect competition, the monopoly, oligopoly, and the monopolist competition. So make sure you know the difference between each one, how each one works, and also how to find the profit loss once giving you the graph. Now let's go over the PowerPoint. So give you some idea with how to look at each problem. All right, let me find my PowerPoint. PowerPoint. All right, let me share my screen. All right, here we go. So the first chapter is chapter 13. That's your cost of production. Let me maximize it. All right, so for cost of production, now you can do this on your calculator, but what I like to do is to do this type of problem on my spreadsheet, because for spreadsheet, you can see what your steps are. If you make any question, if you make any mistake in it, you can go back and fix everything. Okay, so for cost production, this is a very important formula. So you should know that the profit for every company equals to the total revenue minus total cost. Now, revenue is how much money coming into the company, and then cost is how much money going out. And then what's the leftover? That's your profit. So also know that the goal for every company is to maximize its profit. Okay. No difference between the explicit cost and implicit cost. So explicit cost is anything you had to pay money for. Implicit cost is anything regarding to your opportunity cost, your time for the company. So those would be implicit cost, the stuff you still have to pay but not with money. Let me see what else you need to know. All right, this is important too. So know the difference between your accounting profit and economic profit. So accounting profit is your total revenue minus your explicit cost. So all the cash you pay out. Your economic profit is your total revenue minus your total cost, which include both the explicit and implicit cost. Now for your economic profit, because you're also subtracting your implicit cost, therefore your economic profit is always lower than accounting profit. So sometimes you might have a company who might earn a positive accounting profit, but by the end of the day, they're going to have either a 0 or a negative economic profit. So the economic profit is always lower than accounting profit. Okay. Let me see. The production function, I think there are a couple questions like this on your third test and also on the final. So make sure you know how to look at the tables like this. So giving you a table on the right, so number of workers on the left and the number of production on the right, you need to know how to find out what's the marginal output. The marginal output per worker is the difference between each level of production. So for this table, this is how you read it. So when you have 0 workers, they're going to produce 0 output. When you have one worker, you produce 1,000 output. So the marginal production for the first worker is 1,000 output. So marginal production just means that if you hire one more worker, how much extra output do you get from hiring this one additional worker? Okay. Let me see. Let's see who's online right now. Oh, a lot of people online. Okay, guys, if you do have a question, just ask me anytime. Okay. All right, let's continue. All right, so talk about this. What is the marginal product? How to find it? Okay, so know what's the diminishing marginal product. It just means holding everything else the same. That if you just keep hiring more worker, the marginal output per worker is decreasing as the more number of worker you hire. That's called diminishing marginal product. Okay. Let me see what else. Marginal cost, that's very simple. Just you're changing total cost of changing quantity. You know what? Let me see if I can get an example for us to work on. Know this too. So know what's a fixed cost, know what's a variable cost, and know what's a total cost. So fixed cost is anything that does not change if your output change. Variable cost means that the cost will change if your output changes. Now, let me give you an example. Suppose we open a business. Let's say we do, God, what do we do? We do a Chinese restaurant. Okay, so we do a Chinese restaurant, and then let's suppose the only thing we produce, nothing else. So the only thing we produce for our restaurant will be chicken fried rice. So for chicken fried rice and for our restaurant, we have some costs associated with it. So we need to pay money for chicken, pay money for rice, pay money for veggies. Oh, that's optional. Some of you don't like veggies in your rice. We also need to hire labor. We also need to pay for utility, and lastly, also pay for rent because you need a location for it. Now, your chicken, how much you pay total for chicken, well, it depends on how much chicken fried rice you produce. So the more chicken fried rice you make, the more chicken you need. Therefore, the cost of chicken, there will be a variable cost. Now, for rice, same deal. The more chicken fried rice you produce, the more you pay for rice. Therefore, rice is also variable cost. Okay. Your labor. Now, if you pay your labor per hour, then labor is also variable cost. So the more stuff you produce, the more labor you need. Utility, that's probably also a variable cost. So the more you produce, the more electricity you need, and then the more natural gas you need. Therefore, that's also variable cost. Now, however, the last one, rent. Our landlord doesn't care about how much chicken fried we produce. All they care about is by end of the month, we pay the same rent every single month. So the rent we pay is independent of how much stuff we produce. So rent will be called a fixed cost. All right, makes sense? So variable cost, it would change, depends on how much you produce. Fixed cost, it wouldn't change, it will stay the same, doesn't matter how much you produce. So that's your fixed cost. And then total cost is the total between the two. So fixed cost plus variable cost. All right, let me see. Does anybody have any questions? That's fine, Tiffany, it's okay. We just started. All right, so let's continue. Let me find an example we can work on. Okay, let's try this one. All right, guys, if you have your computer with you, open a spreadsheet, and then we can do this problem together, okay, on a spreadsheet. All right, I'm just gonna copy the information into my spreadsheet. So we have quantities, VC, that's your variable cost, TC is your total cost, and then AFC, that's your average fixed cost, that's your fixed cost over quantity. A VC, that's your average variable cost. A TC is your average total cost, and an MC is your marginal cost. And then let me go over here. So quantity 0, 1, 2, all the way to 6. Variable cost versus empty, and then 10, 30, 100, 150, and 210. And then total cost is 50. This is skipped 80, 150, and then 260. Skip, 16.67, 12.50, 0.63. 10, skipped 20, skipped 30 and 35. We're almost there. So many numbers. By the way, guys, I'm having a little flu right now. I think it's flu because you don't get cold in the summer. So that's why my voice is pretty low today. But I think this is good. This low voice makes me sound a little more sexy. All right. 43.33. Now, the marginal cost 10, 30, 60. All right. So let's finish this table. Okay, so to find your variable cost, remember variable cost depends on how much you produce. So for our production at zero output, you don't produce anything. If you don't produce anything, you don't need any variable cost. I mean, just for example, if let's suppose for next month that for our chicken fried rice business, we decide to don't produce any chicken fried rice for next month. Well, guess what? If you don't produce any chicken fried rice, you don't need any chicken or rice. So it's a variable cost at zero production. This would be 0. Okay, and then your fixed cost. Let's make one more column. So fixed cost. Fixed cost equals to your total cost minus variable cost. So for the first production, your fixed cost, this would be your total cost at 50 minus the variable cost 0. So your fixed cost is just 50. Now, remember what we said before, your fixed cost is independent of how much stuff you produce. Therefore, it doesn't matter what your quantity is, the fixed cost is always the same. So therefore, your fixed cost will be 50 all the way down. Well, that's wrong. 50, 50, 50. There we go. All right, so 50 all the way down. That's your fixed cost. And then let's do this one over here. So if you're, I think this is undefined. Yeah, undefined. So NA, because you can't divide it by 0. NA. Now, for your second level, so for quantity of 1, we know the variable cost, which is 10. We know the fixed cost of 50. That means your total cost, this one equals to your variable cost plus your fixed cost. So that will be 60. And then for your average fixed cost, so this will equals to your fixed cost, which is 50 divided by the quantity. This will give you your average fixed cost. And then next level for quantity of 2, we know our variable cost, we know our total cost, looking for the average fixed cost. So again, this equal to your fixed cost divided by your quantity. Now the average variable cost, this equals to your variable cost divided by quantity. And then your average total cost, this you can do it 2 ways. You can use your total cost divided by quantity. That will give you the average total cost. You can also use your average fixed cost plus average variable cost, and they give you the same answer. Okay, so 40. Now, marginal cost. So for marginal cost is the difference between each level of production. So this $10 is the difference between your 50 and 60. And then for this level, for your second unit marginal cost, there'll be a difference between your 80 and 60. So when you produce 1, it costs you 60. When you produce 2, it costs you a total 80. So your marginal cost for the second unit is just 80 minus 60. Okay, so remember the marginal cost is the difference between each level of production. And then next, let's do the third level, or 3 unit. So for 3 unit, we know our average variable cost. We don't know what the variable cost is. So the variable cost just equal to your average variable cost times your quantity. So 60. And then your total cost, again, you can do it 2 ways. You can use your average total cost times quantity, or you can use your variable cost plus fixed cost. So let's do that. So let's use your variable cost as 60 plus your fixed cost at 50. That's total $110. Okay. And then for the fourth unit, your average variable cost 100 divided by 4. And then the marginal cost, again, this is the difference between each unit. So it's a 150 minus 110. On the last level, your total cost equals to your variable cost plus your fixed cost. Your average fixed cost, that's your fixed cost divided by quantity. Oh, wrong one. Your average total cost, that will be your total cost over here, divided by quantity. And then your marginal cost is the difference between each level. So for between 3 to 4, oh, wrong one. 200 minus 150. And that's your marginal cost. Okay, so that's how you solve this type of problem. I do believe there's a couple of problems like this on your final, so make sure you not do these problems. Okay. All right. Does anybody have any questions right now for this problem? No? No questions? All right, then let's continue. All right, so let me see what else I need to know. Oh, know this. Know what is the economy of scale, what is the constant return scale, and know what's the diseconomy scale. So just know definitions. I think that's all you gotta know on the test. So definition for this one. Okay, that's it for chapter 13. And next, let's look at chapter 14. All right, so chapter 14 is the market for perfect competitions. So for perfect competition, the market has some very important requirement. Let me see, where is it? Like this. Oh, it doesn't, it should be listed on here. Well, if it doesn't, guys, just take notes, okay? Oh, here we go. Here we go. So for something to be called perfect competition, this market must have many, many buyers and many sellers. So because you have so many buyers and sellers, that nobody has any influence on the price of the good. So each buyer and seller, they're just a price taker. Now, what that means you take all the prices available for you in the marketplace. You cannot set your own price. And then the second requirement that perfect competition, the goods that's offered for sale are largely the same. So it doesn't matter who you buy from, every single seller sell the same good. And then number 3 is the firms in the marketplace, they are free to enter or free to exit the market when they feel like. So if you want to know, think of an example of perfect competition, think about the market for your printer papers. So when you guys go to Office Depot or Office Max or Walmart to buy the paper for your printer, do you care about which brand you buy? Not really, right? Because all you care about is the price, whichever is cheaper. Now, however, do you guys have any preference over which brand of toilet paper you buy? I'm pretty sure you all do have a preference. There's probably like one specific brand or texture you buy. Now, isn't it amazing that we don't care about the paper we read on, but we care about the paper we wrap our ass with? The reason why is that the paper you read on is all the same. So it doesn't matter who you buy from. Therefore, the paper you read on is all the same qualities. The only thing difference is the price. Now, however, for the toilet papers, they do make a difference. Okay, so for the printer papers, they are called the perfect competition. So every company in it, they're just a price taker. You sell at the what the price is already set for you. You cannot charge a higher price because if you charge a higher price, nobody will buy from you. Because really all you're buying is printer papers, and all you gotta be just be white, right? So because of that, this market is very, very competitive. All right. Now, you also need to know what is the graph looks like for perfect competition. Um, Let me show you. For perfect competition, the graph looks like today. Something like this. Okay, so the graph looks something like this. Now, for for perfect competitions, your supply curve, I'm sorry, your demand curve is also your marginal revenue curve. So this MR over here, it also equals to the demand for the company. And then for company in perfect competition, then in the long run, so in a long time period, everybody is making a zero profit. And then in the short run, you might be able to make some profit. So for this graph over here, when you look at question like this, the first point you're looking for is where the marginal cost equal to marginal revenue. So for this graph over here, the first point we have is at this intersection over here. So our marginal cost and marginal revenue. Now from this point, you're going to find out that for a profit maximizing company, what is the unit of output they should produce? So from this, once you have this intersection, go down to the horizontal axis, get a quantity. So the quantity for this company to produce will be at 50 unit. And then to find out if you're making a profit or loss, then you're gonna go down to your ATC curve. So average total cost curve, get your average total cost, and then compare it with your price. Now for our graph over here, the price is also where the demand and the marginal revenue curve is. So price is $10. Now this is only true for perfect competition. If you look at any other company, they have a downward sloping demand curve. But if you look at perfect competitions, they have a horizontal flat demand curve. So for this horizontal flat demand curve, your price equals to marginal revenue equals to the price equal to the average revenue. So price $10. Now your average total cost is only $6. That means for companies, when they sell one unit, they can sell for $10, but the cost for production is only $6. So companies making a profit of every single production. So the profit for the company will be just the area that's below your demand curve, above the ATC, and then to the right of your quantity where the marginal cost and the marginal revenue. So this shaded pink area, that is the profit for the company. Now, vice versa, if you have something like this, now if you look at this graph over here, remember the first thing you're looking for is where the marginal cost equal to marginal revenue. So this is the first intersection, and then from this intersection, go down, get your quantity, and then from this quantity, go up to your ATC curve, get your average total cost. So for this company, the price is $3, cost is $5, so they're losing money, and then how much money they lose will be this shaded area over here. Okay. Um, um, which problem do we now do on the finals? I didn't say which problem we didn't do on the final. Now, guys, I just posted your practice for each chapters. So chapters 13 through 17 practice is on your Applia. So work on those problems. So many of the problems you have in the practice questions, they're on your cert test, and then many of them they're on the final. And remember, final is cumulative. So everything you learn from day one till this week will be on the final. Okay. All right. Now let's continue. Oh, so for the long run equilibrium, um, let me see. Now, if you look at a graph like over here, on the one on the left, where the price is on the green line, this is the long run equilibrium for the marketplace. Now, the reason why that is because in the long run, since the market is very, very competitive, then nobody makes any profit. So in the long run, there's zero profit to be made. Now, just suppose something happens. Okay, so suppose right now we add this long run equilibrium. So where the marginal cost equal to marginal revenue, and it's also equal to ATC. So therefore, there's no profit to be made. Everybody's just break even. And then suppose something happens. Then suppose we have a higher demand. So with a higher demand, we push our demand curve to the right. And with a higher demand, your price also increase. Now, when you increase price for the marketplace, and since every company is a price taker, and for this company, their price will also be increased. So price go to P2. Now at P2, this company is making a profit. But however, remember the third requirement for perfect competition, that if you are making a profit, that the market has a free entry, free exit. That means if your company is making a profit, other company can also join the marketplace and then compete against you. So when there's a profit to be made, more company join in. With more competition in the marketplace, the supply curve is also pushed to the right. Now, when you push a supply to the right, the price goes back to P1, and then which means your profit goes away, and then you are just breaking even like before. So in the long run equilibrium, every company in perfect competitions, they're just breaking even. Okay. All right. So since that's it for chapter 13, 14. Now, next, let's look at chapter 15. All right, so chapter 15 is the chapter on monopoly. Now, remember, monopoly, it means there's only one company in the marketplace. So for monopolies, companies has substantial market power. That means this company can set what the price is, and then they don't have any competitions to compete against. So in perfect competition, everybody is a price taker, but for monopoly, they're a price setter, so they set on price. And I also know what's a barrier to entry. So which means for a monopoly to stay as a monopoly, there must be some type of barrier that stop other companies from joining the marketplace. And then the example the book has, I believe, is the De Beer diamonds. So De Beer owns almost 80% of all the world diamond supply. Therefore, De Beer is pretty much like a monopoly because they own all the diamonds. Okay. What about that? All right, so for monopoly and also for monopolistic competition, your demand curve will be different than your marginal revenue curve. So when you look at a graph like this, the demand curve will be the blue curve. The marginal revenue curve is always below your demand curve. So the red curve will be your marginal revenue curve. Let's see, I have a. All right. When you look at a graph like here, let me show you this one. This is a better graph. So when you look at a graph like this, the first point you're looking for on any graph is where the marginal cost equal to marginal revenue. So this intersection over here is the first point looking for. Now, once you have this intersection, go down to your horizontal axis, get your quantity, and then go up to your demand curve, get your price. So price is on demand curve, quantity on horizontal, and then your average total cost is on the average total cost curve. So for the profit, will be your price minus ATC times quantity. So this shaded area, that will be your profit for the company. And then anytime if your demand curve is above your ATC, you're making a profit. Anytime if your demand is below ATC, you're losing money. Okay. All right. Let's see what else to know. Oh, no, it's a deadweight loss. Okay, so I believe you have a couple problems in Applia that's on deadweight loss. Now, guys, remember I posted Applia homework help Eagle 2. So if you go to Eagle 2, the link is already on there. And then if there's any additional questions you want me to look at it for you, send me an email. I can make a video for you right away. Okay, or not right away, maybe in a couple hours. Okay. All right. So this is important. So price discrimination is selling the same good to different consumers at different prices. That's called price discrimination. What you need to know about price discrimination is that with a monopoly, you're going to have some deadweight loss. But if the monopoly was able to use price discrimination, then there wouldn't be any deadweight loss. But however, all the surplus will go to the monopoly, and then for consumers, you don't have any surplus anymore. Okay, so that'll be the ideal price discrimination. Let me see. So that's it for monopoly chapter. Let's look at the next one. So next one is very common. It's called monopolistic competition. So for monopolistic competition, there are for companies in a marketplace where you have free entry, free exit. But for monopolist competition, company do have some power over their own price. So company can set their own price, but however, because the market is very competitive, then in the long run, nobody makes any profit. So just like perfect competition, the company in monopolist competition, in the long run, they're just breaking even. Okay. This is important. So for between your perfect competition and monopolist competition, they share very much similarities. So many sellers, free entry, free exit, long run, no profit. But the difference is for perfect competition, everybody sell the same good. For monopolistic competition, everybody sell differentiated good. So similar but not same. And then for company perfect competition, they're all price taker, so nobody has any market power. Market power, but for monopolistic competition, company do have some market power. And the demand curve for perfect competition is perfectly horizontal, but your monopolistic competition demand curve is downward sloping. So just like the demand curve on monopoly. And if you compare monopoly, monopoly has only one seller, where monopoly competition has many. Monopoly has no free entry, free exit, so only one company stays in the marketplace. Monopoly in the long run can also earn some profit. And then the last one is a closed substitute. So for monopoly competition, you have many substitute. But for monopoly, since you're the monopoly, you're the only company in town, you don't have any competition, so you don't have any closed substitute. For monopoly competition, the graph is very similar to monopoly. So you're going to have something like this. But for this company in this market, they are making a profit. But remember, for monopolistic competition, in the long run, everybody is just breaking even. So in the long run, your graph will look like this. Okay, so where the ATC is just tangent of your demand curve, and then that's also where the quantity of marginal cost and marginal revenue is. That means on this point over here, your price will equals to ATC. So the revenue equal to the total cost. So company for this market, they make zero profit. All right. Let me see what else I need to remember. This was a question in your Applia homework. So know the difference between the product variety externality and the business leading externality. Okay. But I don't see these questions on your test. But study for it anyway, just in case. Let's see what else you need to know. Okay, so that's it for chapter 16. And then next, finally, let's look at chapter 17. Chapter 17 is on the market for what's called oligopoly. Um, Now, first, know what's a concentration ratio. So concentration ratio is the percentage of market total output supplied by its four largest companies. So if you can think of, if you look at our cell phone market right now, so the market for cell phones, not the actual phone, but the service providers. So you have AT&T, Verizon, T-Mobile, and then Sprint. They make up for more than 95% of all the service. But you still have Cricket and other smaller companies. So the concentration ratio for the top four company in this market is close to 95%. Okay, so they list some of these other examples you have. Now, for example, your video game consoles. So that's what Xbox, Nintendo, and Sony. That's about it, right? So the top three company actually control 100% of all the video game consoles. So that's your concentration ratio. Now, oligopoly. Oligopoly is where you have a market structure that you only have not one, not many, but a few sellers. So like 3, 4, 5, 7 different sellers that sell either similar or same product. And the idea behind oligopoly is that because you have so few number of competitors, the action of one company will have a very good impact on the action of other companies as well. And then there's a theory called game theory. Now, there was a movie called Beautiful Mind, I think it's by Russell Crowe, where he played a very famous mathematician. Now, he played the guy's name was John Nash. So John Nash was a very famous mathematician. Unfortunately, he died in an accident last year. So John Nash, he developed this theory called prisoner dilemma, where the action of one person have an impact on the action of other persons. Let me show you an example of prisoner dilemma so you know what I'm talking about. Here we go. So we have two people over here, Bonnie and Clyde, and then let's suppose they got caught. So and then the DA offered each person a deal that if you confess, you get off easy. If you don't confess, then they're gonna charge you with more number of years. Okay, so a bigger sentence. Now, so for Bonnie, if Bonnie decide to confess, so Bonnie tells everything, and then Clyde also confess, then the DA will give each person 8 years in jail. But if Bonnie decide to remain silent, and Clyde also remains silent, then DA doesn't have enough evidence, so each person only got 1 year in jail. But if Bonnie decide to stay silent, and then Clyde decide to confess, then Bonnie get 20 years and Clyde go free. And then vice versa over here, if Bonnie decide to confess, and then Clyde decide to remain silent, then Clyde will stay in jail for 20 years, and then Bonnie will go off free. Now, if you look at this picture over here, what should the two people do? The best outcome is probably for both of them stay silent. So don't say anything, then the DA doesn't have enough evidence, then we both just get 1 year each. Now, however, this is where the Nash equilibrium comes in. Let's suppose that Bonnie knows Clyde very well, and then Bonnie knows that Clyde will always stay silent. What should Bonnie do? So if Clyde always remains silent, and then if Bonnie also remains silent, she get 1 year. But if Bonnie confess, she get free, no years. So for her, if Clyde remains silent, Bonnie should confess. Now, let's do the other way. Let's suppose that Bonnie knows Clyde very well, and then Bonnie knows Clyde will always confess. So Clyde always goes confess. Then what should Bonnie do? Now for Bonnie, if she choose to remain silent, she get 20 years. She choose to confess, she get 8 years. So 8 years is better. Therefore, she also choose to confess. So for Bonnie over here, doesn't matter what Clyde does. For Bonnie, she will choose to confess because confession is a better outcome compared to remain silent. And then Clyde also choose to confess. So both people confess. Then you add up over here. So which looks like the worst outcome of all. But this It's called a Nash equilibrium, because each person only care about what's good for you. You act on what's the best strategy, given all the informations, and then you're gonna end up at your Nash equilibrium. Now, however, if this game is repeated many times, then each person knows the game's rule, and then eventually they might end up over here. There will be a collusion. So when two people decide to collude with another company and then act as a monopoly, there's a collusion. Okay. Let me see. So know what's a dominant strategy. So dominant strategy is the one we just talked about. So when Bonnie always chooses to confess regardless of Clyde does, that's called a dominant strategy. So it doesn't matter what the other person does, I choose to confess. That's called dominant strategy. Okay. Think what else you need to know from this chapter. Yeah, make sure you know how to read a table like this. Because there are questions on the test just like this. Okay. I think that's about it. Oh, notice too. So know what's resale price, know what's a predatory pricing, and know what's trying. Okay, this is your applicate homework because I got it wrong last night. So make sure you know the definition for each one. Okay. All right. I think that's it for chapter 17. Does anybody have any questions right now? No questions. All right. So if no questions, remember that your stop this. All right. So if no question, remember that your test 3 is due on Sunday night. Your final is also due on Sunday night. Start early. Don't wait until last moment. That's really by Sunday night. That's when I need to turn in all the grade. So if you couldn't finish everything and then let's say you didn't do your final, well, guess what? There's nothing you can do anymore. So make sure work on it early and then finish everything before the deadline. Okay. So if no, does anybody have any questions before call day today? No. All right. If no questions, guys, good luck on your test and good luck on your final. And I have any question, let me know. So send me an email or send me a message on Handout, and then look out for my email on Monday morning. I will send you what your final grade is. And also for those of you who's participating in the weekly online meetings, on the email on Monday morning, I'll also including how many extra points you get from each participation. Remember, for every week you are here, you're getting 2 points on your final average. That's a huge boost. Okay. All right, guys. If nothing else, I will see you guys. Well, I don't know. Maybe next time when I take my class. All right. Good luck. See you later.